Lord, I want to propose to you that there are three nations, biblically and historically, that we can say that God is their Lord. First of all, it would be Israel, of course. Think about Israel. But I want to propose a couple of others also. The nation of England, the nation of the United States, and then the United States of America would be the three nations that have been, who can uniquely say whose God, our God, is the Lord. Now, I want to stop for just a second and say this. I realize by putting England and the United States of America together with England like that and saying, or together with Israel like that, by saying Israel is a nation whose God is the Lord, and England is a nation whose God is the Lord, and the United States is a nation whose God is the Lord. I realize that by saying that, that I am saying something that will be an offense to a lot of people, especially when I put this message on YouTube and somebody hears it on YouTube. It's going to be one that someone's going to really take a lot of offense against. This associating Americans with Israel is going to really hurt somebody's feelings pretty bad. Some people are going to hear it and they're not going to get past. I don't know that it'll be in this room today, but I kind of expect I'm in safe company right now. I kind of expect I'm in safe company right now. But some people, when they hear what I'm about to say in this message, they're not going to get past the fact that I group England and the United States with Israel. And they're going to accuse me of a heretical doctrine called replacement theology. And the idea is replacement theology replaces Israel with England and the United States. That Israel was God's people at one time, but Israel has been cast away and God has replaced Israel with Americans. Or at one time they would have said with England, with British, with Englanders, and then we've progressed now and it's America today. And they're going to accuse me of by saying that by putting America and England with Israel, they're going to accuse me of being anti-Semitic, that I don't love Jews because I happen to love America. You know, and because I believe that God has blessed America, that I don't love Jews because I believe God has blessed America. And some are just not ever going to get past that. Other people are going to get offended that I would suggest that God favors anyone over another one. You know, the idea that God has favorites is going to bother somebody. The idea that God would not treat everyone equally is going to make somebody upset. They're going to get offended that we claim, for instance, that those who trust Jesus Christ as Savior go to heaven, and those who do not trust Jesus Christ as Savior go to hell. They're going to say, how can that possibly be? How can a loving and good and kind God ever do that so that He would send someone to hell for just not believing what God told them to believe? And they're going to say something like that. They're going to get offended that we would suggest that any group of people could be offended, could be judged by God. That's going to offend them. People like that. They think, you know, that God isn't fair. And they think everyone who ought to be able to believe what they want to believe and behave how they want to behave. And that God has no right judging anyone's beliefs or behavior. And they're going to say, well, it's just not fair that you have a God that would say this belief is right and this belief is wrong. And it's not fair that you preach a God who says this person goes to heaven, that person goes to hell. And by the way, God doesn't choose people to heaven or hell. He offers everyone an opportunity to go to heaven. If you do not receive Jesus Christ as your Savior, you go to hell. If you do receive Christ as Savior, you go to heaven. He's not picking some for hell and some for heaven. But they're going to say, well, that anyone goes to hell for any reason isn't fair. I mean, they sincerely believe in Islam, and they sincerely believe in Hindu, and they sincerely believe in whatever they sincerely believe in. And God ought to just love us all for loving Him, for loving or something. I don't know.